Hi everyone, I'm so happy that you're here to join me for the Way of the Animal podcast. Today's podcast topic was chosen by you, Alastair. Do you want to introduce your concept that we wanted to talk about?
It was the idea of following your dreams and passions and, that sort of area. I think it's kind of an interesting area because I'll bet there's a lot of people out there that don't have dreams. Well, they do have dreams, but they don't know how to maybe articulate them, or they don't maybe know what they are, or... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was funny when you brought up the topic idea with me. One of my immediate thoughts was, what if you don't know what your dream is? You know,
and I think that's the big thing.
How do you find it? How do you find what your passion in your dream is and what you want to do with your life?
And it can be hard because there's so many options in life. It's like all the flavors of ice cream. And to tie yourself to one flavor sometimes seems restrictive.
Yeah, that's an interest. That I did not expect you to say. So my mind is having to think rapidly at this point. That's really interesting. And I don't know if for me, it feels like when you have some sort of feeling of purpose or dream within your life, it's very expansive rather than restrictive. And I think when you step into the journey of following your dreams and passion, it tends to, the more things come than you ever expect.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to restrict. It tends to open up a whole new world.
Interesting. Because I think about it in the context of I want to end up here in life and wherever here is. You know, pick your poison, whatever you want.
Why would it be a poison?
I don't know.
That's an interesting door into your mind right now.
Pick your flavor.
There we are.
But so you have an idea of I would like to be here.
And it is the be here. So it's really interesting because dreams can be physical.
That's true.
You know, they can be emotional. It's like understanding, it's really interesting because it's a really interesting topic because your dreams are your own.
Yep.
And, you know, no one can judge you for your dreams because they are your own. It doesn't matter what other people think.
Not at all.
And it's like with dreams, I really want to get into not being like a physical place, you know, a physical thing, because you always leave that behind. I feel like it's kind of a grandiose feeling towards it, but it's almost like, you know, when you die and people talk about who they've been as a person, and it's like, I don't ever want people to be like, well, they had that lovely place in Canada, you know, whatever. It's more about
the journey
and the people that I've been with and, you know,
experiences you've had.
Yeah, like just kind of more expansive than just the physical. Because I think the human affliction is feeling like everything has to be physical. We have to have proof physically
of success.
Of status, of success.
There's definitely a side to it.
And in a way, you like it's natural to want something physical that is your own creation, and a lot of creations are physical. Yeah. So, you know, I'm just kind of going in a whole loop here, but it's just me talking through my mind that initial thoughts of what's come through. It's like more than physical, but also physical. I don't know.
I think there's a difference as well because we don't have kids. I think if you have kids, there's more dreams of physical things to leave for future generations.
That's the thing, though. It's, for me, the word has come. It's the legacy.
Yes, legacy.
And the legacy definitely doesn't need to be physical.
No, it doesn't at all. Well, the one that I was thinking of the other day was the difference between someone who has very career-driven, you know, status, high money, high income, fancy house, fancy car type person. Or you remember that book you read with the couple, it was somewhere in Europe, I think. They were walking and camping, and like that's what they did. New Zealand, is that where they were?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember where it was. Okay, so they were in New Zealand and they had nothing.
Yeah.
They had what they could carry, and that was their life, was just touring around, and that is all about the journey, the experiences. That is I get to the end of the road, and it's not about what I have, it's about the experiences I had along the way. Mm-hmm. Whereas the other side of it is I get to the end of the road and look at this amazing legacy, empire, that I've got to leave behind. The legacy to me is more than the physical. It's more to do with the people you've interacted with in your life. You know, the you know, it's like if you've got kids, it's like the way they treat other people, you know, the sort of things they've learned from you along the way. You know, it's just kind of a different, and what came up interestingly there where you were talking about the you know, the corporate ladder and being in that type of job. I've been listening to a couple of podcasts just recently about people who had been climbing the corporate ladder and then actually found their dream. Yeah.
And realised that was so far, like they thought it was what they wanted, got it, and then went, nope, that's not what I wanted, I want this. And then have pivoted and have changed their lives, and you can see the difference, you know, like can understand and feel the difference in them because they have pursued a different dream. That's
it. And so I think there's that side of dreams and following your dreams, but there's also the side of I want to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's my dream job. And so you pursue that career and, you know, get jobs that are going to help you build up, and I want to work at this particular law firm, and that type of dream can be quite restrictive. Because like you said, with the person following the corporate ladder, if you adhere strongly to it, well, what happens if you change your mind? I've done all this work towards being a lawyer, but actually I decide I want to be a philosopher.
And like another interesting aspect, because we spoke about this in the goals thing, is when you have a dream and you think that reaching it is your happiness.
Yes.
You know, because you reach your dream, you do it. But you don't actually work on yourself or like understand and enjoy the journey of getting there. It's all about the slog and the suffering, the sacrifices.
Working hard to get to the destination. And now I completely get working hard to get to the destination. It's like I'm aiming for there. Well, it's going to be a 20-mile walk to get there. Well, okay. Just one foot in front of the other and I'll get there.
But you've got to enjoy it along. Like
you've got to enjoy it, but you do have to put in the hard work as well.
But, you know, there's that sense of satisfaction, I suppose, when you are making steps towards your dreams.
That's it, yeah.
Even so.
Every day you're that little bit closer to your dream. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think there's I don't know what my dream is. This is my dream and I must go straight to there. And there's my dream is about the journey that I've had. Mm-hmm. My dream is about having experiences. My dream is about seeing things, doing things, meeting people. I think it's a really interesting way to look at things. And I think when you say to someone, you know, there's a lot of talk about vision boards and dream and all this sort of thing. And I think when you say to someone, what's your dream? I think a lot of people have lost touch and don't know what that means.
Yeah, or just don't know how to find it, like unlocking your passion to what really stokes your fire, you know, what really gets you going.
And now that's the other thing. Yeah, unlocking your passion. Because, like the lawyer example, I want to be a lawyer. Well, when you decide that at school, you probably have no idea what a lawyer is. Maybe you've seen it on TV. And you might get there and be like, oh, I don't really like this.
But it's like sometimes though, it's like for me, like interestingly, for me, and this has just become really important to me right now, is I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
Like that's always been part of my thing, is I want to make a difference. And And as I've got older, that's become clearer in what I want to make a difference with.
Yeah.
So I want to make a difference with people's connection with animals and people's connections with themselves, and understanding that and becoming greater aware of ourselves and our animals and how that interaction happens. And it's, lawyers as well. I want to make a difference. I want to help the people that need the help at that time. It's like understanding that your passion, your purpose, you think that the way to get there is by being a lawyer. And you see it a lot in movies and things like that, where they're like, oh, I'm a lawyer, I make a difference. And then they realize that the real way to do it is to do something else that makes a greater difference, a greater influence, and you're helping exactly the people you want to help. But it's understanding sort of behind the exacts of what it is, understanding what is the fuel, if it is you want to make a difference, or you want to enlighten people, you want to make people feel better. One of the creators we watch it's not about he does Minecraft videos, but it's not about playing the game. It's about entertaining, making people laugh, making people feel good.
Yeah.
That is his purpose behind the videos, where you can watch other creators and it's about their gameplay and how they're playing. It's like interesting, like what people are reaching for within their creativity and their passion.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what medium you're using for creativity. It is about, what you want. Do you want people to enjoy it, have fun? Do you want to give them a break from whatever's going on with them? No, that is an interesting side of it. And what keeps coming up in my mind is Into the Wild.
Oh, no.
Your favourite movie. And I think we've spoken about it before.
Yep.
And it's like that thing. My dream is to live alone in the woods and be self-sufficient and, not see anyone. And I go on a big journey to get there, meet amazing people along the way, have amazing experiences, get there, and like, oh no, meeting the people and having the experiences was much better than sitting here twiddling my thumbs. This
is where you've overreached the mark. It's like you get so tunnel vision, and that's what you mean by the restriction. You get
exactly it.
You get so tunnel visioned on the destination of being where you thought you wanted to be that you don't realize in the journey you're already there, and that's where you want to be, and that's where you want to create. It's like being able to pivot, being able to let go of the dream and create the new, or be with the new.
And I think there's like some feeling of other people's perceptions of it. I want to be this hotshot lawyer, and you get halfway through it and you're halfway through law school and you're like, you know what? I want to be, I don't know, something really opposite to a lawyer, a criminal.
No, I don't think people want to be that.
But, so it's, and then you drop out of law school because that's not actually where you wanted to go, and you decide to go somewhere else, and
quite often the somewhere else is not the stable, normal way of doing it. I think that quite often happens.
Or the perception that people have of that.
Exactly.
In fact, take one of our creators that we watch, the one you spoke about, who likes to entertain people and make them feel better. Like, that's his goal in life. He likes to make people laugh. And he had a very good job at a software company. I have no idea what company that, but he was
Intel, I think it was.
Was it Intel? Mm-hmm. Okay, very high up, very well respected, very good in his field. I'm going to quit my job, my career I've had for however many, 20 years, 30 years, and I'm going to make YouTube videos. And that seems ridiculous to a lot of people. You've got this career that's good money, good prospects, and you're leaving that to make people laugh?
To follow your dream.
To follow your dream.
And it takes guts, it takes bravery to be able to step into that.
Yeah,
but
it definitely does.
What was really interesting was he was living in both worlds.
Yep.
So he was creating and he was doing his job. And the more he was doing the creating, the more he started to hate his job. And then you could see like the resistance within him, the sort of turmoil, because he was trying to be two people then. And
that's it. But that's, at some point in his life, his dream was to be a software guy or wherever it was. Like that was his dream job. And then he gets there and he's like, this isn't quite what I pictured. And I think
I don't think it even got to that. I mean, for him personally, I think he was doing his job and then saw a different world. Yeah. Started into it and realized, oh, that's my world. That's what I want to do. I mean, and it's like, it's very interesting because for me, like, I have not known what I've wanted to do for a long time. Like, I've just, I'm not doing anything, I'll do that. I'm not doing anything, I'll do that. And it just kind of, and I think going back to the not knowing what you want to do. Sorry, I know you want to say something.
That's where I was thinking as well.
Not knowing what you want to do is the only way to find out is start doing things.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the what's your dream? I'm not really sure. Well, it's like, go and try stuff. And I think there's not enough, like, importance put on that when you're growing up. It's like, as kids come growing up, I feel like they should try everything. Because everyone has a passion and everyone is phenomenal at something. But a lot of people never get the chance to try things. And whether that's family situations, geographical situation, whatever it is, but people don't always get the opportunity. And I think that's part of having a dream, is trying to find a dream by, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. No, not that. But I kind of like this bit of that and that bit of that. And maybe something over here is good for me. And just experimenting. Yeah.
And it's hard because, like you said, when you start getting into, so I started doing my degree. Yeah. And after the first year, I thought, I'd actually like to change it. And, they're like, well, you can't change it because you don't get your burst. It's like a whole restrictive thing. You can't change. It's like much more challenging to change it, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't. And honestly, it's fine because my degree in countryside management has taught me a lot about the interconnectedness of all things. Yes. It actually, it was what I needed to do at that time. But it's so kind of far from where I am now. Yeah. And where I want to be, it's just, and it was just like, well, I like being outdoors, so, and my parents were like, you need to do something, I'm grateful for them, because they're like, you can't just stay, because I was a waitress, you can't just stay here and be a waitress, you need to do something with your life, have a look at, something you can learn about, and I just chose countryside management. It's outside, it's learning about the countryside, it interested me, but, nowadays, like, there's so many more courses, but if I'd known then, that I could do more about the animals, because I love working with animals. I don't want to be a vet or anything like that, but just learning about animal behavior, there's degrees in animal behavior and things like that. Like, that would have been so amazing, but I didn't know then that was what I wanted.
At that point in your life, that wasn't where your journey was going.
It's taught me more than I realised about life and the interconnectedness of life. So.
I mean, I kind of had the same thing. I remember 6th year, my final year at high school, we're all talking about applying to universities and things and what we're going to do. And I didn't know. I had no idea. I thought about astrophysics, love space, seemed like a great career. But then my brain was like, well, what are you going to end up doing after that? Let's face it, you'll probably end up being a teacher. And I was like, oh, that wasn't good for my teachers, so I'm sure I don't want that. Then I thought about being a vet, but then I didn't know if I really wanted to do that because I enjoyed working with animals, and I don't know, there's that thing about being a vet that you work with sick animals. Yeah. You work with animals, like, I don't know. I didn't know if I wanted that. And then, family have always been in farming and in agriculture, and also, I quite like that. And I kind of chose a middle of the road between vet and agriculture, doing agricultural science. But, like, I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't have some all great dream. And in fact, a few months before, I'd saved up a bunch of money and I was just going to use that and I was going to go traveling. I was going to go out to Australia and follow a friend out there and just see what the world brought. And I didn't. But
I'm grateful you didn't, because we met at college.
we did meet at college. Yeah, life would have been very different.
Yeah.
Instead, I used that money to buy a
better.
motorbike. But it's that thing. It's hard, like, sometimes when you're growing up trying to find a dream and a passion. And I think sometimes people expect you, or maybe they don't even expect you, but they say to you, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What is your dream? And there's a fear of saying, I have no idea.
I don't know. That's it. And I think as well, like, at that young age, you're still, like, your life experience is so small. How are you meant to know? So you'll only have seen what you've seen.
Yeah.
You know, and that can be a very small proportion of what you can be. And it's also that, like I was thinking about there, that pressure, like, there was a bit of pressure. So I went to college, you know, you went to college to get that further education.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of people who are successful and know what they're doing and love what they're doing without having that further education.
I think that one's more of a follow-on from old-fashioned beliefs and the old-fashioned system that, you know, you go to school, you get a degree, and then you get a job, whereas education is changing. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to become less rigid like it has been for us growing up, and which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're just on the cusp of things changing. But that was the thing. My dad was the same to me. He was like, well, you know, I'd rather than you just go traveling and bumming around, get yourself a degree. If you still want to go traveling and bumming around after that, fine. But then when you get to 30, you've got a degree and you can use that to help yourself get a job and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it is. It's the trying to know what you want and being able to say, I don't really know what I want. And then getting over the fear of trying stuff.
Yeah. And it can be scary, especially when you're young, like stepping into different places and different, like, because, you know, some of the way of doing it is doing different jobs.
Yeah.
And that can be really scary, just trying different things, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, sometimes I think that it's not necessarily about the job. Like I said, it's like, I want to make a difference. It's like understanding your deep beliefs and values of what you want. Like,
it may not be that I want this specific job. It may be that I want to, like, you know, I want to do this thing that is...
Yeah, I want to entertain people.
I want to entertain people, yeah.
Just whatever, just like have a feeling of what makes you feel good. You know, what part of what you do and who you are makes you feel good. Yeah. And how... then in the normal society of things, of jobs and things like that, you can actually use that, attain that, you know.
Yeah. And that's, like, I've always thought that if you don't enjoy, if you're not happy doing what you're doing, there seems no point in doing it. And I understand, well, it's a very high paid career and, you know, whatever. If the pay is what makes you happy, the getting lots of money and being Scrooge McDuck, like, that's great. If that's what makes you happy. But if you're unhappy and you're being Scrooge McDuck with your big...
But if you don't know where to go from your unhappiness, then you are kind of just going to have to sort that out before you can... You know, sometimes you want to sort that... Like, there'll be people who have the courage to just go, I'm not doing this anymore. And then they're in the deep end and they have to find something else.
Yeah.
But there's also that feeling of, well, I have this security. I'm in this position. I need to... find out what I actually want before I can make a move. So there's, like, you know...
There definitely is. And that's an interesting one. When I was doing the Tony Robbins life coach training thing, one of his things is the things that people need. And they're very polarizing. There's, like, some people have a real strong need for security, whereas some people have a really strong need for insecurity. And that alone will change. You know, if you're someone who needs security... well, you might stay in a job that you don't enjoy because I've got security here. Whereas if I step out and chase this far-fetched dream that I have, well, that's just too much insecurity.
Yeah. And that's where people in that, like, needing the security. I say people like I'm not looking at myself in a mirror right now. They feel they need that security. That you need to look outside the box to find the next thing, and then you can make that leap when you're confident about it. You know, there's like...
Oh, that's definitely... You can make the leap when you're secure.
That's it. That's the interesting thing is, so like we were talking about, we were listening to a podcast with content creators, and there's a pair of them, and the other one, he did it in a very calculated manner, as like really calculated. He was also content creating and working in a corporate job, and he calculated how much money he needed to make from his content creation to meet the same as his corporate before he could take the leap.
That was his security, because he has a strong need for security.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, this like bigger picture was, you know, they were supporting families and things like that.
Course, yeah.
But yeah, it's like
my tolerance for insecurity is quite high.
It really is about knowing yourself.
Everything's about that.
Yes, it is. But it's like when you're young, you don't really know yourself because you've had so little life experience. But the only way to know yourself is to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of one of those cosmic jokes, isn't it? Because let's face it, you know, we're both pushing 40, and I think we know ourselves fairly well by now. But again, it's fairly well.
Yeah.
And probably didn't really start knowing and understanding ourselves and what makes us take to mid-30s?
Yeah. I was going to say the last 5 years or so is where I really discovered myself.
So you spend like 30 years of your life not really knowing what's what and where you want, you know.
But it's funny when you start to get to know yourself and then you look back, you're like, like your whole life makes sense. So that's when you know you're really getting to know yourself, is your whole life starts to make a lot of sense, and then you know where you're going.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, that's why I kept doing that. That's because I wanted this, you know? Yeah.
That's it. And that's actually a weird one, because your subconscious probably pushes you towards the things that you want without you knowing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the whole self-sabotage type idea.
But by knowing yourself, you get to feel what lights you up.
Yes.
And that will lead you to your dream.
Yeah.
And then you can do what you want.
That's always the big thing.
But it's like understanding as well, like, you know, like I said, looking back over my life, little things that I did that has like built my way to my dream.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense,
I did that, and that helped me to see this so I could move towards my dream.
Little steps along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And understanding that quite often you're moving towards your dream without realizing.
Yes.
And when it's like, it's understanding yourself. So when you're resisting doing things, that's usually because you're resisting doing things towards your dream almost.
Yeah. Although
or it can be that you're resisting because you're not meant to do it. So it's like understanding as well. It's understanding, is this fear because it's like,
I'm scared to step out of the security. Yeah.
Well, because we were talking about, what got you to tell me what today's podcast topic was, I was talking about a quote from a book, which I completely butchered, but it was, you wouldn't do anything unless you believed you could.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's it.
And that's like realizing that, you know, when you step out and you do something different, like you believe you can do it even though it feels like you don't believe, you know.
But also the acceptance that I'm going to try and do this. Oh, it didn't work. Okay, well, I'm going to try and do it this way. Or like that, being able to handle the failure.
There's many paths.
There is many paths. There
are many paths to any destination or any idea or any dream. And sometimes those paths, like I found, are very windy and go back on themselves, and I go around in circles. But, you know, any path, when you don't know your dream, any path is going to lead you there.
Yeah, that's it. It's the old, I don't know why cats get it, but the old, there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's It's that idea that you don't have to follow a specific path.
And it's like you don't even follow, if there's like a dream and you've seen that someone else has done it a certain way, like that's not necessarily your way.
Yeah, that maybe worked for them. It's like, that's the same with everything. It's like learning. People learn things in different ways. And just because one person learns this way doesn't mean you have to learn that way.
It's like, I think accepting and understanding that every situation and everything that you come across is something that's part of your life that gains you
knowledge and experience
towards whatever you are doing.
That's always a big thing I try and remember in my life, is that everyone you meet and everything you do has some phenomenal lesson to tell you. Some teaching, something they know that you don't know, and it doesn't matter who they are or what their background is. Everyone can teach you something.
Yeah.
And every experience in life can teach you something. You just have to look for it sometimes.
And listen to it.
Yes.
You know, and it's that whole thing, because the hardest bit is bumps in the road, you know, challenges that you have.
Yeah.
They can, you know, especially if you have this sort of fixed dream locked in that you want, and then you feel like it sometimes can feel like the world's against you because every door seems to shut in your face along the way, and it just feels like you just maybe this isn't for me. Yeah. But then when you say that to yourself, you feel that just like, no, it is. It's another way. There's another way, and I'm just not, exactly. and it's just, it's almost like a test to just, is this what I want? Yes, it is. Well, I'm gonna go for it.
I think that's always nice.
Being able to go, okay, actually, that isn't quite what I want.
Yeah, I think
that realization.
I think that's a nice way to look at bumps in the road. This is a real test. This is like, are you sure? Mm-hmm. And if the bump in the road and you're like, yeah, no, I'm still sure, then it's fine. And if the bump in the road makes you go, oh, actually, I think I like the look of over there better, that's also fine. It's an opportunity to
understand yourself some more.
Yes, understand yourself some more, understand your likes and dislikes.
And understand whether what you're doing means enough to you.
Yeah, that's a big one. But
it's like, back to Into the Wild. Sorry, it's just like Into the Wild. It's like if he'd realised, because he met this wonderful girl that he travelled with for a bit, and if he'd realised that that was his destination to be at that point and stayed with that, then he wouldn't have continued on his journey to what he thought was his dream. It's like, not getting so thick-headed about it and realising that there's many paths, and, his dream could have been realised in a different way as well.
Why are you looking at me when you said thick-headed?
I was trying to think of the word, but I'm looking at you the whole time, so I don't know how it was any different. But yeah, just, sometimes being thick-headed and determined is what's needed.
Oh, yeah.
The driving force. But you you need to know that it is still what you want, and then you drive towards it in whatever way needs. But,
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's like, I feel like we're going round in circles because I don't think there is answers towards this.
No,
I think it's
not at all.
just about learning and understanding yourself and understanding what you want. And in each moment, each day, each month, each year, that changes, and that's okay. I think you're allowed to 100%. Change your dreams, but there's always this feeling of pressure of, well, you were doing that, why are you changing it? Well, because it wasn't quite what I wanted. And it's like allowing yourself the experience to learn what you do and don't want, and what lights you up and what
And
doesn't.
I think that's the thing, is that it's completely valid to have laser focus straight to one destination. This is where I'm going. Nothing is getting in my way. I'm going straight here. But it's equally good to go, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go over here, and I might go back to that, and then onto this one, and down here, and you take this convoluted route to reach where your final destination is. And
well, your final destination is death.
So then, yes.
But it is. It's like, when it comes down to it,
that's where we all end up.
Yeah. So it's more about
how you get there.
Life's about the experiences you have, and that's why we get very upset when life becomes work, because as much as you get experiences in work, there's much more to life than just work.
Yeah, there's definitely a thing about limiting your experiences.
Yeah. And so, but every experience is even small, just like speaking to a person in a shop randomly.
Yeah.
You know, like every little experience has so much value. So it's like that thing they talk about, living in the moment, you know, being in presence. Is like understanding how important every moment is.
Yes. And yeah, being able to experience different things. And
yeah. And life can be scary, and sometimes, you know, jumping off the deep end feels like the most scariest thing you could do, but it's incredibly liberating.
Oh yeah, it is. Especially, and you get to a stage, I think, in life, or maybe it's just after you've done it enough. Maybe that's what it is. You get to a stage after you've jumped off the deep end enough times. It's like, well, you know what? I can jump off the deep end and I'll float. Yeah. It's fine.
I'll swim. I can. Yeah.
I might not swim well, but I'll swim.
It's definitely after the biggest jump, which is moving to Canada for us, I feel a little bit more like, well, I'll figure out anything and just... And so it can feel terrifying, and I don't always feel that confident that I can figure out everything. But it's something you've taught me, is just like that ability to just know that you can pivot, you can change, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
There will always be an answer for you.
Yeah.
And not feel like you're stuck.
Yeah. That's definitely it. The fact that there is always an answer is a nice part.
And that knowing yourself, listening, hearing, because that's where you find your answers.
Yeah. That's it. But yeah, because it makes me think, you know, sort of winding down the podcast, and, you know, you want to say like, well, follow your dreams. But it's not even that. It's follow your dreams if you have one. If not, go searching.
Well, and it's almost then, so then you go back to the self, follow your heart, follow your passion, follow what lights you up. You know, that's what's important. It doesn't need to be a thing or a dream or something. Just follow your own heart, your own passion, whatever lights you up, follow that.
Yeah, if nothing more, do something that interests you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Really interesting.
I think it is an interesting thing.
Well, thank you very much. Good topic.